Hey docs, I'm Dr. Rob DiMartino, and I wanted to share with you a story as I was talking to a friend of mine who's also a practicing chiropractor about some of the difficulties that he's experiencing in practice. And I got to tell you, as a consultant, I hear the same story over and over and over again. So I decided to make this video about it just so that maybe it would help you if you're hopefully not dealing in the same issues, but a lot of us are. I know I dealt with it for years before I started doing what I was doing now. And the reality of it is that he, like so many other people, feel completely trapped in their practices. Now, that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. I mean, that can mean that you're not fulfilled in what you're doing. I know I certainly felt that way when I first started. I got into this with this bigger ideal in mind, not just working on necks and back pains and things like that, even though it's always fun to help people get out of that stuff. It wasn't really what I had in mind. Some people are just stuck in the rat race, with getting hammered by insurance companies, declining reimbursement rates, things like that, where the auto industry, PI thing has changed up, or just the fact that there's competitors opening up all the way around us, charging virtually nothing for an adjustment where you can walk in, no exam, no x-ray, no nothing, and they're just getting adjustments. And it led him and so many other people that I talked to, into this state of fear, this state of pressure of what am I going to do? Maybe practice is going okay. Maybe you're making some money and maybe you're doing okay, but it's stagnant. How do you get to the next level? And then hopefully, the bigger question is how do you help more people? Again, hopefully that's the reason that we all got into this, was to go out there and try to help people and help as many people as we can. But a stagnant business isn't going to do that, and a stagnant business eventually will get put out of business. Just ask Blockbuster Video how that went down for them. So, that leads the person to frustration. It's a frustrating thing, because when you really want to go out there and you really want to start helping people, and everything that you're seeming to be doing to help them, and you're constantly seemingly going against the current, insurance is hard, people want the cheapest prices and everything else, they want you to basically mail them the results yesterday without them even coming into the clinic, and you pay them for getting them well. It's a frustrating thing, and it leads to burnout, and it leads to the bad kind of burnout, which I call bitter burnout, where you just don't want to do it anymore. And, there was many nights that I laid in bed really thinking to myself, longer than I even care to admit, saying, how do I want to do this? What do I want my practice to look like? What do I want it to be? And deep down inside of me, what always burned was I wanted to see really complicated patients. I wanted people with, autoimmune diseases. I wanted people with Hashimoto's. I wanted people with Crohn's. I wanted people with lupus. I wanted people with chronic fatigue. Those were the cases that I really ultimately got into this for, to try to help those types of people who are dealing with those types of problems, because there's not a lot out there that's serving them. And, what ultimately came out to was what I created for myself and my practice was now something that we go out and we teach doctors all around how to do. And the reality of it is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's lots of great options of putting these styles of programs into your office to be able to help get those types of patients better. It does incredibly well for them. They get great results. They're happy with the service. And the coolest part about my job was helping doctors do this is watching them get great results and then watching that passion reignite inside of them, that they're excited to go to work. The business is building, the practice is building because they're getting great results. They're providing awesome value. And the people are happy to come in and do that because they're working with the patient base that they want to work with and the patient base that actually wants to work with them. It separates you, in marketing. We always talk about the niche makes you rich, right? Well, in this case scenario, it's what separates you from the rest of your competition. And it's not that hard to do if you know the rules of the game and how the game is played. So let me tell you another real quick story about a friend of mine who had actually become a really good friend of mine. He started his practice about 10 years ago. He was doing the traditional thing, insurance reimbursement, auto accidents, PI, and all that sorts of stuff. And he was moving along just fine until, in his state, again, that whole industry changed. And as it changed, he kept trying, but by 2015, his practice had closed and he was out of business. But, deep down inside, he believed in chiropractic, he believed in what we were doing. So he went back, he borrowed money from family and then opened up again to start anew. But this time he did it different. This time we started to put in those niche ideas, these different lines of services that most of the chiropractors wouldn't do, but they're going to get results with different style of patients, people who are dealing with more complicated problems that would really easy to attract them into your clinic because they're looking for people who can provide options. Well, here we are now sitting here. He's got 5 clinics. He's got 2 more opening up on the way. He's incredibly successful and he's incredibly happy, which is again the thing that ultimately all we really care about. He's fulfilled in practice. He's helping people And when those two things kind of come together, the financial part takes care of itself. So the reality of me making this video is that to let you know that you do have options. If you're stuck in those zones, how do you take it to the next level? How do you go out there and serve? What kind of practice do you ultimately want? There's ways to put these things into place so you could do more, serve more people, help more people, and ultimately financially create yourself the life that will take the stress and the frustration off of you, where it's fun to come into the clinic, you can provide, and still have all the freedom that you want. So again, hopefully this video doesn't find you in that spot, but if it does, hopefully you find some of these tips helpful, or this is the kick in the butt to kind of get moving. If you find a friend who might think this is interesting, please go ahead and share it along. As always, I thank you for being in the trenches and trying to help people. We'll talk again soon.